You're listening to the Rectify Gaming Podcast, episode 21, and this one is going to be a special one as always. We have some really good people with us, but a special guest, and we'll bring him on in just a moment. First, I just want to touch base with some faces that you probably have not seen, but voices that you should know. First up, Temporal Enigma is in the house with us tonight. Temporal,
hello.
If you don't know Temporal, he is someone that is a YouTube creator for us and also a writer on Rectify Gaming. Very knowledgeable about some very unique games. I'll say unique because I don't play them a lot, but he does, and he knows what he's talking about. So glad to see that he's with us today.
Thank you.
As always, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Tyboy in 17 in the house. What's going
on? I'm back in the house again.
It's always better than being in the garage.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess so. I'm not
in the house versus in the garage. Well, we'll promise not to make Ty look the whipping boy that he typically is today for the show. And that's because we have a very special guest with us today. This is a man that we're going to get to know a lot more in the coming months. A new game that has just released on several different platforms, both the Xbox One, the PS4, and also on Windows 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yarny is the game. And
Unravel.
I'm looking forward...
It's Unravel.
It's Unravel. Yarny is the actual character, and I say that because it's super cute, and I want one. Martin, could I please have a Yarny?
I'm making one right now, actually.
Oh wow!
but it has a different destination. It's going to someone else.
Wow!
It's Martin Sahlin here, and it really it's a great thing to have you on the show, man. Thank you so much for taking some time and coming to talk to us today. It's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, it's nice to be here.
So I think I'll start off by saying I think Ty is the only one of us who's actually had a chance to play Unravel, but we really want to play it.
We really.
It's just kind of fallen under our radar at the moment, and I am looking forward to when I do actually play it. I've been doing a little research on gameplay and stuff so that I don't come in here completely unknowledgeable. But I am very much looking forward to playing Unravel.
Cool.
So
Ty, you're the one that's gotten your hands on the game the most out of us of the group.
I mean, I played a small glimpse of it, yes.
And
he's probably going to go back to playing it when we're done here.
Yeah, probably. I actually have it on my TV right now.
Well, I was just going to ask you what first impressions were because I've been wanting to ask you all morning, but I wanted to save it for the show.
Oh, wow. I mean, my first impressions are it's probably not my kind of game since I'm more of like first-person shooter kind of guy. I'm not that kind of person that likes side-scrollers and try to do like figuring out puzzle stuff and trying to figure it out for a few hours. But the game looks very beautiful, Martin, by the way. Everything about it looks sweet. The water, flowers, grass, everything. More than I expected. So
yeah, this is before we turn things around and start getting scary.
So before we jump into questions, I just want to say a few things. One, I would like to just point out, kind of like you said, the game is amazing. It looks fantastic. One of my favorite games is Limbo, which is in essence similar, kind of a side-scroller puzzle style game, and I really enjoyed that game, and I'm looking forward to playing it because, like I said, in essence it's similar, and I've loved the yarn aspect that you've added to the game. How, like in certain aspects you have to like use your yarn to create bridges, but then you have the option to go back and untie the yarn to kind of save yourself extra yarn, or have the option to kind of divert off your path a little bit to grab extra yarn, but as you're doing that you're wasting a little bit, so you kind of have those decisions to make throughout the game. I also like how there's in some places there's more than one way to kind of figure a puzzle out, versus like Limbo, I guess, would be the best comparison I have, where there's kind of only one. Most games like that are just figure out what the answer is. In some cases in this game it's more of just get to the end. How you do it's kind of up to you, and I'm really enjoying that game, or that aspect from what I've seen of the game, which makes me more excited to play it. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh well, I'll say something later. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Oh no, I remembered.
All right.
Okay. in example, going back to the amazing art that was put into this game, and the music helps too. Limbo, for example, has like no sound whatsoever, or a little bits of sound, and it's very black and white. And that game that's the style of game and adds to the air of that game. And you could have easily done something similar in this game, very kind of two-dimensional, and the game would have been just as good. But I think a huge aspect of this game is how much detail we'll put into it. And I love the aspect of really sizing up Yarny. He is small, so he's wandering around a world that is small. One of my favorite, and it's not a perfect comparison, one of my favorite books as a kid was I Spy. And the greatest thing about that was everything was made up of little parts. So you never really knew. You always felt small. You're looking around the world in this little I Spy book, and you see a button that's as big as what a house would be. And I feel that way when watching this game. You're walking around, and you're riding on a tricycle, and you're going through the shutters of the garage, and climbing over the teeter-totters and all that kind of stuff. And I really like all that kind of aspect. It just adds to like the immersion and just the fun of the game itself. And I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Cool. Yeah, that's something that I personally really like about it as well, that it just gives you a bit of a different perspective of things. It allows us to just like really go into detail and then just show everything off, just how pretty everything is, really. I think like one of the best, if you bring up the comparison with Limbo, I think one of the best ways to compare it is basically that Limbo is one of those games that if you look at a single screenshot from it, you get a pretty good idea of what it is. You can kind of get to know the game just by looking at it. And I think that's something that's very similar in our game as well. You can just take one look at the screenshot and you already have an idea of what it is.
Yeah, and I think that really adds to the game. This is the kind of game like Ty, for example, is really into first-person shooters, which is the primary thing that I play too. But the thing with those games is you feel immersive, but all in all, it's a shooter. I think what's really interesting about this game is the simplicity of the gameplay makes you really appreciate all the colors and the aesthetics of the actual world. So you start getting more immersive in, like, you're running around, but you notice, oh, wait a minute, there's a hedgehog running back there. Oh, and there's a bird over there. And, oh, look, that's a plant or whatever, I don't know. But you start noticing more of where you're standing than what your character's doing. And I think that really adds to the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we're really going for as well. Just this whole thing about trying to highlight, the beauty in the ordinary. That you don't have to go to space, you don't have to like go to some fairy tale fantasy thing, but you can actually just, the real world is a great setting for a game as well, and not just games about blowing stuff up, but actually, it's like this as well.
No, it's fantastic looking. I wish I had played it so I could have more of a standpoint, but I'm very much looking forward to it.
Now, Martin, Unravel, of course, all about Yarny, and for me, he's taken my look at this game, and just watching the videos and stuff of it, it makes me want to get to know him much more. I'd like to take just a moment to ask you, how did you guys get so much personality into something so simple as just a little ball of yarn?
Animation is pretty much the key to that, and that's something that I made a really big deal of right from the start. That this character has to feel like it's alive, like it's actually there and reacting to the environment, and it's something that what I wanted players to feel this empathy for the character, that they want to help this character through the quest and see the game through to the end. And the way to build empathy was to just make the character seem more living, like a real breathing little thing that requires your aid, your assistance.
Yes.
So that's why we have these. We have tons of different animations for. What we basically do is we have a basic move set, but then we have different mood zones, as we call them in the game. So basically, depending on what type of mood we want the character to be in, we just swap everything out. And just use body language to convey emotion. And then also like tons of contextual stuff as well that's going on. So for instance, if you're standing close to a ledge, you'll switch to a different type of stance where you're kind of like teetering and looking over, looking down at what's beneath you. Or if there's some point of interest nearby, you'll see Yarny looking at them and checking out the environment. Or if you just stepped into water, Yarny will get like wet and the ears will sag a little bit, and you'll when you get out of the water, you shake the water off like kind of like a dog or something like that. So lots and lots of little details like that just makes the character more alive and more, as an aware of the environment, I guess.
Exactly.
And on top of that, we also have tons of different like physics-based stuff going on, like procedural animation on the character. So it actually, reacts to how the world moves.
I just like the fact that he does have so much expression to him, but to an expressionless face. Like, most of the time, whenever you're trying to make this thing, you can see smiles almost around. This character didn't have that at all. This has this simple eye, and then, like you were saying, body language. And simply watching the gameplay, I was able to feel emotion for that character. And at moments, I could tell he was kind of lost, and he was looking around like what you were describing, Martin. And it was like, he sees a point of interest, and he kind of like looks up in that general area like, I wonder what I could do over here. I wonder if I could go over there. And I think that's really unique whenever you can take something that's as simple as a ball of yarn and do actually breathe life into it. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, similar to what he was saying, I watched gameplay right in the first level. A bird takes off in the background. You're just like walking by, and a bird's on the ground, he flies away. And Yarny, never seeing a bird before, kind of cowers, he puts his arms up, kind of like leans back in almost a defensive yet curious kind of pose as you can keep walking. So you go, oh, okay, and you know exactly what he's feeling. He's like, what was that? Oh, okay, it's just a bird. And he keeps going, and exactly like you were saying, all those little contextual things, just little simple things, and like Twizted was saying, it just, exactly what he's thinking and feeling at any given moment, and it's really cool, and it almost, it makes you feel for him.
Temporal, did you want to go ahead and pick up with the ideas for gameplay and just going to go from there on our list?
Sure. I should say that, how did you come up with the ideas for what you wanted the physical gameplay, the core gameplay to be in Unravel?
That was the thing that happened at this camping trip I went to. I don't know if you heard that story from E3 at all, but what basically happened was that I was out, camping with my family, and just wanted to try to. I had all these ideas that I needed to do something with, so that's where I made like this little physical a doll, like an actual Yarny that I made from materials that I kind of borrowed and scavenged. Basically took what I could find and made this doll, and just kind of ran around with it and played with it, and just. From that process, that's where kind of like the game grew from. I was trying to figure out just what type of challenges you might come across, or what type of abilities you would have. So I was building little trampolines, or just trying to make Yarny swing on a rope, or just rappel down a ledge or something like that. So it was very kind of like a physical process, just playing with an actual little character, just to try to work the game out.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. I've had ideas like that, not that specific, but where these weird ideas come out of nowhere, and I think those are in many ways the best ideas.
Yeah.
So now things you think of and you roll with.
So now after
exactly. You're not trying to create something specific. You're basically just trying to follow that thread, that inspiration, see where it leads.
So now that you've created Unravel and Yarny, you're about to show it to the public at E3 2015. How was it like? I remember watching it live, and I'm like, this guy is so excited about the game, which is so good. Everyone was talking about it on Twitter. What was it like to be on stage like that, showing it off for the first time?
It was pretty huge. I mean, it was a big deal. Not just because like, oh wow, it's a big stage, a lot of people watching. I mean, that's part of it, but that's not like the main part of it. For me, it was just basically, the sheer joy of finally being able to share this thing that you made, that you feel really strongly about, and that you think is really beautiful, and that you're like so excited to let the world see. And also, I think, I mean, making games can be kind of hard, especially when you make something like this. That's really personal. So basically, I've been, like, in my personal life, I've had a lot of like struggles that year, and like it's basically, part of it was just this huge relief when you're up there and you see that, we actually pulled it off. This actually turned out really great. This is beautiful. Like, all the hard work and toil we put into this, it's paying off. It's working.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just like the joy of sharing it, and that like super excitement, and also just the relief that we got there.
Yeah, I was saying to Ty before, you see so many independent game developers get up there and have the chance to show their games. And very few of them, they all try to act super professional while they're up there. So you get people who go up and they're like, I mean, sure, you're on a big stage. You're talking to millions of people, whether physically at the moment or if they're going to watch it later. And sure, you want to act professional, but, you get people who go up there and be like, well, this is the game I made. It's very beautiful. And here's a trailer. We hope you enjoy it. And then that's it. And it's like, well, that's cool, but, it's basically, you worked on this game. You and maybe a team of a couple other people, but, and then I saw you get up there, and, I could tell, you've been working on this game. This was something that, you had a vision of, and you were able to put into reality. And, sure, like you said, there's some excitement of being up in front of people, but that's not it. It's about, now I get to share it. I don't care who plays it. I don't care if one person plays it or a million people play it. I just want you to see and experience what I experienced in my head. It's not a perfect comparison, but I get the same way about forging and Halo. I've got all these visions in my head, and when I finally get to put them onto paper, so to speak, and let other people see them, I get excited too, and I can only imagine what that's like to create, something from nothing that you've been holding in your head for years upon years, and now you finally get to let the world see it. And I'm glad that you showed your expression, that you were excited about it, instead of just kind of being like, here it is.
Yeah, whatever.
It's like, didn't you work on this game? Do you care at all? So I did enjoy seeing your emotion behind your speech.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, like, this next question, I mean, me and Temporal had like the same kind of question, but were you surprised by the attention it got and like the reactions and all that? Were you surprised by it? Did you think it would get as much attention as it did?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that people would like it, because we put a lot of work into that demo, and just I kind of had some kind of idea that, this is probably going to work. I think people will appreciate this. But the thing is, like, when you haven't made anything like that before, when you haven't made anything that's really resonated with people before, you don't know what that feels like. And there's no way to prepare for that, because it's unreal. It's just very, very crazy when suddenly the entire internet falls in love with the thing that you did. And it's just so even though I had a good feeling coming there, it was totally shocking to see just the level of appreciation that we got from people. So yeah, I was surprised, but in a different way than I thought.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying to Ty beforehand, a lot of independent games, they get attention. People like them and they go, oh yeah, but a lot of them don't become what their true colors don't shine out till very long after the game's been out. Like Limbo was big, but it became way bigger later. And I'm noticing that Unravel just kind of exploded. And I mean, I know the game's only been out for a little while, and obviously not everyone's had a chance to play it yet, but I've seen videos all over YouTube. You know, any major or semi-major YouTubers played or is playing the game right now. It is the first banner item you see when you go to the Xbox Live store. You scroll over, there's a giant banner at the top that says Unravel, and that's huge. Usually that game's filled by, like, I don't know, Far Cry Primal, which just came out, or, you know, any AAA game would fill that spot, but Unravel's there. I can tell you specifically, my my brother's girlfriend is a semi-gamer. She plays a little bit, but isn't really huge into gaming. They were watching Netflix, and he was on his Xbox, and he scrolled over to the store and she saw that Unravel banner, and the first thing she said, she had no idea what the game was, just said Unravel and showed the picture of Yarny, and she goes, "What's that? I want to see that." And they clicked on a trailer, and she was totally into it. She barely plays games. She was totally into that game just from the simple gameplay trailer, which of course just shows Yarny running through the world. You know, there's, you know, no words, there's no context really. It's just the gameplay, and she was already amazed by it. So I think it says something to see that in such a short time, especially for an independent game, that it just kind of came out of the woodwork, and there it was. And a lot of people, I can, you know, for example, like us, who want to play it, I think are excited to play it. And I'm excited to see what happens with it in the coming months, and see if it gets even bigger than it already is.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. But I mean, the reception so far has been really awesome. So kind of cool. I guess it helps working with EA as well. But I mean, it really is cool to see all these videos that people put up and just, you know, how they really embrace it and how they get what it's about.
Yeah, every reaction seems to be the same. It's just like, this game is gorgeous.
Yeah. It's rare to see a unique game like
Everybody's just saying that. So, I mean, it really says something when everybody kind of thinks the same way. I mean, even Ty, who, this isn't his kind of game, still thinks the game's fantastic. You know? So
yeah.
it really says something when everybody can get behind it, regardless of if they would play it or not. You know?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like sort of the approach that we took to story, that we have all these things that we're trying to say, but we're also really aware of the fact that, you know, it might not be everyone's thing. People look for different things in games, so that's why the story is kind of like something that you have to seek out. We don't really try to push it on you too much, but it's basically something you can delve deeper into it if you want. But if you just want to play a fun platformer, you can do that as well. So what we're trying to do is just, you know, create this world that draws you in and try to make it, you know, this beautiful, inviting place that like, regardless of how you feel about everything else, you still just look at it and say, like, I want to spend time here. I want to try this. I want to see this. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah.
I know earlier we talked a little bit about the general story and stuff. Now, I did notice watching some of the gameplay that there seems to be these figurines, you know, the figures in the back, as Yarny's making his way through, and it seems like he's collecting memories of stuff. And it seems like that's kind of a key to keep you playing. It's like you want to know more of what's going on. Would you be able to tell us more about that, Martin, without giving away a lot of the story? I mean, what exactly are we looking at there whenever we see that?
I think to me, it's kind of like this. I have an idea of what it all means, but I also kind of don't like closing doors. You know, I want people to be able to come up with their own ideas and their own interpretations. So yeah, collecting memories is definitely a fair way of looking at it. That's kind of like how I view it. But I also,
that's how I thought it was too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I also kind of want, you know, I want to leave it open for interpretation. It doesn't really, you know, read like a comic book or like a movie. It's more like looking at a picture or something like that you can kind of, you know, see what you want to see in it. We try to provide you with, like, we try to fill the world with, like, interesting stuff, that there's lots of stuff there to find and stuff that hint at you know, a larger context. But it's kind of like up to you how you decide to you know, put it all together.
So then would you consider, a lot of artists feel the same way about music, paintings, whatever they do. Would you consider this then your art?
Yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, I'm definitely in the video games can totally be art camp. I think that we're all artists in some way. Like we coders,
in different ways.
3D modelers, or musicians. It's all art.
One of the things about art is people like to purchase it, and obviously we want to see about purchasing the game. But
Great segue.
I keep getting back to. I know. I just keep getting back to Yarny. Martin, is there any? I know Ty, right? Is there any chance in the future? Are they going to be selling these little Yarny figurines, or is it just something where it's like grab a ball of yarn and have at it, man? I mean, what? Because I've already seen many people already starting to make their own. I guess what I'm saying is between you guys and EA, is there any chance that you guys are going to be looking to sell these in the future?
We get asked that question like a lot. So what we did was that we put up this guide on the Unravel homepage. So there's a guide to just how you make your own, and that one has been hugely popular. Like there's a lot of people have been making them and just posting pictures, which is super cool.
All right, Twizted, time to go buy some yarn.
Wait, would it be...
So you can weave your way into your heart.
If you guys wanted to actually sell them, though, wouldn't the manufacturing be expensive to make it?
I have no idea.
What kind of question is that?
I was going to think if it would be expensive to make and all that, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I actually did make one just now, just before we started broadcasting. So I don't know.
How long does it approximately take? I mean, I know you're probably a pro at it.
Been about 90 minutes on this one, perhaps.
Oh wow! I'll probably take me.
So I guess not too bad.
So I guess if this whole making games things doesn't work out, I'll just start making yarn.
Love it. Scrolling through on your Twitter feed as well, I had noticed that someone had in the community was nice enough to make a 3D printed yarn.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
That wasn't. I think that one was green, right?
Yeah, it was green.
Yeah, I'm gonna paint it. But it was really nice. It's the guys. They made the animated intro that we have for the game.
Oh wow!
So they have access to the actual 3D model. So they made a 3D printed one that was really nice. I'm just gonna paint it the right color.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds right.
Another quick question for you here. Looking at the game, obviously, I need to get my hands on it, try it out. But some of the first things that came to my mind was, what are some of the things coming forward for the game that we can expect as far as DLC? Is there anything like that that's being contemplated? And right now, it looks like it's more just a linear game. Is there any way that we might be getting a multiplayer sometime in the future? I mean,
already
not even work.
New levels or anything?
Honestly, I don't really know. We'll see what the future holds. It's basically like we made this. I think it's like when people hear that EA are publishing it, they always go like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be like season pass, $40."
Yeah.
But really, we made this game, and if it turns out that people are asking for it, we might consider making more. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Personally, I just feel like this is.
You're just excited that it became a reality.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what we made.
Yeah, let's see what
a finished story
and everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see, and I know a big thing in the game market now is. How can we increase the longevity of our games? Because that's the world we live in, unfortunately. People get bored instantly. But it's nice to see that you wanted to create something and you have. What comes next? Okay, if people really love Unravel, then maybe we get Unravel 2 or a game similar to Unravel. But right now, it's just, hey, I made this game. And people are liking it, and that feels good,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just basically a bit of enjoying the moment. That it's not. I mean, right now it's more like we're not really thinking about what to do next. We're more like thinking about trying to evaluate the process of what we made. Just the classic post-mortem. What worked, what didn't work, what can we do better. Are the tools what they should be, and all that stuff. So it's basically right now it's just a lot of meetings and reminiscing.
Nice.
Also, here's a personal level question. What games have you been playing besides Unravel, and what games are you looking forward to in this year of 2016 of a lot of games coming out?
Well, honestly, like the game lately that I've been spending the most time with it is Destiny.
Whoa! Oh no, Temporal, get out of here! Wow, so you're a Destiny fan too?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I really appreciate like the social aspect of it. It kind of like brought a lot of good friends together and just got people playing together, which I think is really cool. I think there's still room for improvement, but I think I really love the social aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, Ty, I do agree on the social aspect.
Okay, good. What console do you prefer to play on?
I have a PlayStation 4, and then I have my Xbox at work.
All right, sounds good.
I'm sure somebody's gonna get really opinionated about that, but it doesn't matter.
There's no fanboys.
But honestly,
there's no fanboys here.
Honestly, that's just the difference between them isn't huge. So it's just basically
no, exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing was like that the PlayStation came out like a year before the Xbox in Sweden, so that's how come that's why we got the most of it. So,
It doesn't matter. You're playing games. That's the important thing.
Yeah, and then otherwise, I started Firewatch yesterday. Not too far into that yet, but I'm excited to like delve deeper into it because it seems like a nice story. I tried to play The Witness. I loved it for 2 hours. Then I just got a headache and couldn't play anymore.
It's funny that
I don't know what it is. It's some kind of motion sickness thing. It's just
it looks kind of funky.
But it's really fun. Like, enjoy the puzzle parts. It's just that I really do get like a headache from playing it. So I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to finish it.
I think it's funny that you say that, Martin, because and I know we've already drawn some similarities between your game and some of the others out there in the industry. But whenever I was looking at this one, I'm kind of like Tyboy here. I'm a big first-person shooter fan. You know, I've played competitive gaming for years.
Yeah.
But something that I have noticed is over the last few years, I've almost gotten too involved with my gaming. I want to get on and I want to have a good time and not feel like I'm at a competition every single time that I play. Mm-hmm. And one of the games that brought that feeling back several years ago was Portal. And when I first saw this, I mean, granted, it's not a first-person point of view, but I remembered that feeling of going through the puzzles and trying to make my way through the rooms. And Unravel really has that feeling for me. So even though I'm not a shooter fan, and maybe there's other people that are listening that I'm sorry, I am a shooter fan. Maybe other people that are listening are as well, and they're not a platformer. I can really easily see myself just popping this in and just trying it out for a few hours to see what it's like on those nights that I just want to relax. And listening to the music that and how it changed in between the segments and stuff. I mean, I just don't want to go over the top here, but just telling you, man, it's a beautiful game. It's a really beautiful game. And
I'm just gonna continue on what he said. The two things I play are first-person shooters and puzzle games. Those are my big top two. Probably one of my favorite games of all time is Portal. I played through that game more times than I can count. Both of them. I have both of them on my computer, and every time I look at them, I'm like, I'm going to play it. And I can run through them in a couple hours just because I know everything. And that's part of the reason why Limbo is one of my favorite games, too, because it's that kind of puzzle aspect, which makes me just that much, when I learned that, like, Unravel looked fun, and then when I learned it was more than just kind of a platformer, it involved more of that puzzle aspect to it, it just made me that much more excited for it, because there are not enough good puzzle games out there. I mean, you've got Portal, you've got some aspects of Half-Life, you've got Limbo, and then a couple others, but, you don't have any real puzzle games anymore. And that, with that whole aspect combined with everything else, it just makes me so excited. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping to get my hands on it within the next couple of weeks and really delve, whatever word, into it.
Cool.
Another one that I thought about while I was playing it, or not playing it, I was looking at being played. I saw that he's interacting a lot. Yarny's interacting a lot with the environment, obviously. There was a couple of times when you saw like a boulder or something come, crashing by. And it makes me wonder, is there any type of enemies in this game? Through Unravel, whenever I go through it, am I going to ever experience an enemy that's not just the world and the environment?
Yeah, there's some a few creatures in there. There's not combat or anything like that. You don't fight anything, but it's more like about trying to figure out the peaceful or like intelligent way to get past the problem. But there are some. I mean, since Johnny is kind of small and fragile.
Un saludo a todos, soy Dani de...
Pretty much everything can be dangerous. So you will have some scary encounters with animals. And a bit more like action-oriented sequences. I think the thing about the game is that when people look at it, they usually see like the first level and they see that it's like it's flowers and sunshine and it's very like cute, but it's actually kind of like it's sort of a hard game actually. It's more difficult than I think that people expect it to be. Which I personally, I mean, I like games that don't give like too much away for free. That you actually have to work for it a little bit. It just makes kind of success taste sweeter, I suppose, when you have to struggle just a little bit. So there is, I mean, there is quite a bit contrast between different levels. Like the tones between levels can vary quite a bit. So some of them are a bit more harsh than others.
Cool.
I like that. Martin Sahlin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks a bunch.
Yes,
Greatly appreciate
it's a great honor to have you on today.
It was nice.
All right, guys, this is coming off of our interview with the Unravel, the Game Master, Martin Sahlin, and an amazing interview at that. It's always a privilege anytime we have the visitors on the show like that, and I don't know, I really love being able to get to talk to the developers, so people that actually make the stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Talking about some of the new stuff that's coming out, we did want to just kind of go over a few things to wrap up the show with today, and Griffball is on its way back. Of course, we're talking Halo 5 here. Congratulations. I know I've said it a couple of times. I'm very excited for the community and for Griffball Hub and all the group that just to have them back for Halo 5 finally. It's amazing. And earlier today, Polygon released a video, I saw it tweeted out, of an actual match on Halo 5, the very first Griffball match that I've seen in full. Did you guys get a chance to check it out, Temporal and Tyboy?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. A good amount of it.
So whenever I was watching it right up, I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're on a hockey court. This is awesome.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, people put Griffball is such a simple map. It's a box. That's all it is. It takes 30 seconds to make a Griffball court. But people spend so much time building these courts, and it's the dumbest thing you could put, your time into. But it turns out so well. It makes it so much better when you're running around a hockey court instead of let's take the original Griffball arena from Halo 4, which was inside Erosion. Yeah, that's a Griffball court. That's fine.
Foundry, yeah.
I played on it many times without any problems. I never went, oh, this is boring or sad. But the minute they started adding Forge maps in, it just made the game that much better. Because all of a sudden, I went with my friends, let's go play Griffball. They just released new Forge maps, and they're all like, yeah, let's go do it. It's like, nothing's changed. Nothing's different. It's all the same. The courts are all the same size. Just, they look different, and that somehow makes the game so much more fun.
Kind of reminds me like Rocket League, it looks like right now,
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's basically the exact same game every single time, but it feels different whenever you play it. And
it's just reskinned arenas and reskinned cars. That's all it is. But it feels so much. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Tyboy's holding back right now. I know he wants to go off.
I mean, the hockey court's nice and everything. They have a certain size to work with Griffball maps and all that. I mean, there's so much more stuff you can add, like small stuff, like maybe add like a logo in the middle that says G for Griffball, or like on the side, like you really can't go up to the glass wall without jumping onto the boards. I mean, that's something that would have been cool too, just making it all clear, or then it would just look like you're on just one platform with nothing around you. But
They might have done that because the terrain pieces might extend over the edge.
Yeah,
so they're trying to hide that a bit.
That's true. Yeah,
That's what that is.
And also by looking at it, I mean, it's Griffball at its finest right now. I think it's going to turn out great for the guys over at Griffball Hub. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of new plays people come up with. I got to look more at this gameplay though. So
from what I did see, I like how most of the armor abilities are still in there. So like thrusting and sprinting and all that stuff is, or ground pound and all that stuff's still there. So that adds a new dynamic. I loved the pass mechanic from Halo 4, and I think it's amazing that that's going to be in there too. I love the idea that you could just hoof the ball down the field, and I mean, there's always the risk that someone's just going to pick it up. But you know, the only thing I didn't notice, which I didn't see all the gameplay, so I probably just didn't notice, is the ball auto pickup, or do you have to hold X?
I think it's auto pickup.
Okay, because in Halo 4 it was originally auto pickup, and then they started adding
it's auto pickup. It's auto pickup.
Okay,
from the way
because for some reason people didn't like auto pickup, which doesn't make sense.
Auto pickup.
It's okay. Because originally it was auto pickup in Halo 4, and then they changed some game modes were what they call it, like tactical Griffball or something, where you had to hold X to pick it up. And I think Griffball in essence is that, you know, Ricochet and all those, even Ricochet and all those other modes, they have some strategy to them.
Yeah.
Griffball has always been stupid fun. Grab the ball, run. There's no strategy.
Have you ever watched a professional Griffball game before?
No.
Some of them, like, they have the strategies and everything.
I know those guys get into it.
Yeah, I played against them at RTX. I don't even know what they come up with. They come up with, like, names and everything.
The average player is going to do this. Maybe one guy hangs out in the back, and the rest of them are just going to bump around the field. That's so then the whole point of auto pickup is if you get the ball, you get the ball. Like, you know. So I'm glad that they made auto pickup by default. I'm sure at some point a bunch of people are going to complain and they'll add tactical Griffball or whatever it was back in. But, you know, that's what Griffball is. It's all about controlling the ball. So in the sense that everybody wants it, you know, not in the sense that, you know, for tactical reasons.
Yeah.
Well, from the competitive side, and this is taking it a lot further than what I had anticipated originally talking about the segment, but I think it's valid. I think it's valid. From the competitive side, I remember playing it on Halo 4, and what was happening is whenever they added this throwing mechanic in, if I make you automatically pick up the Griffball whenever you're on it, or it gets around you, I can literally run up to you, throw the ball at you, and it forces you to take the ball and then hit you with the hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the difficulty that they were having was the damage mechanics of how much damage does the hammer dealt versus the actual Griff himself. You know, your speed changes a little bit, so I mean that takes it into account too. But I think that was the main reason why people were complaining about it in Halo 4, if I remember. Is because they're running up and throwing it at people.
We don't know if there's like an option to put auto pickup on or not, because
I'm sure there is. There always has been, so I'm sure there still will be.
All the competitive people always did pick up ball too, so that's another thing.
Well, that brings me to the next point. I think they finally tweaked the thing correctly, where Griff's always had health, just a tiny bit. He can survive one hit, and then that's it. And then he's always moved a tiny bit slower. So it looks like they've balanced it so Griff always kills. Griff always wins melee battles, and he can survive one hit, at least from a hammer.
Yeah, not from the back, too. I remember there being that damage mechanic. If it's from the back, it's like a melee. It's like an instant kill.
Yeah. So I think that will also... So if someone throws the ball... If I'm running at Griff, he throws the ball to me and tries to hit me, I'll survive that initial hit. Plus, combined with the armor abilities, I might be able to thrust or pack away from him to keep him from being able to do that. So it twists the whole mechanic. So it's a legitimate strategy.
It's gonna be
but now Griff can counter that. You know, maybe he punch. You know, the gravity hammer is slower than a punch, so maybe I punch first and I win. You know, so. I think it's going to work out for the better. It does look like, unfortunately, we had to wait this long, but it does look like it's going to pay off, especially for those who play Griffball competitively.
Yeah, and also I noticed new medals come into Halo 5 with this update.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like hammer kills and a whole bunch of
hammer kills
related.
I've noticed from the gameplay. So
of course, in order to get hammer kills, you have to have this brand new hammer, and it looks amazing.
Yeah,
it does.
I can't wait to see what type of effects it has on the environment, because that was probably one of my favorite mechanics.
I just saw this in the gameplay. You could ground pound with the ball into the goal.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I was going for, because back whenever I first started playing Griffball, of course, in Halo 3, that was one of my most favorited moves, what they called flowering at the time. Showing my age here as far as how long we've been playing it, but what you would do is to run up, you grab the ball, and you would literally back up towards your base, and then your teammates, if you could get it down perfectly, they
would
could
hit you all at the same time.
Behind you. Yeah, it sends you up into the air, and then you would just kind of flight into the point to arm it. Now imagine that with Halo 5 mechanics. Not only could you go up in the air, but then you could ground pound into the score, and you want to talk about a slam dunk. I mean, that's awesome.
The only thing I'm worried about that, and I'm sure they thought of it, is what do you do when you're trying to defend the goal now?
Yeah.
So the only thing I can hope is one of two things. One, the energy sword would be an insta-kill on Griff.
I would think
so that you can intercept him in the air. Or the more likely of the two, if you hit Griff with the hammer, he goes flying backwards. So he doesn't actually end up ground pounding on the goal.
Yeah.
He ends up ground pounding next to it. So if you can time him in the air to hit him before he hits the ground, you actually knock him off the pedestal. That would be a cool aspect. Plus, if they include thrusters, you could thruster in midair as he goes down and intercept him.
Yeah,
so you've got all these extra angles that you can play just with armor abilities.
Okay. Also, how do you think the sliding is going to get into play? Like, you think people are going to use it or not? Like,
they'll probably just keep doing slide swords.
Yeah, I feel like
they do
people are going to find cheap ways to be annoying in it. So
they might have taken slide out. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone use it.
Obviously, they definitely had to test it, and I wonder if any of the Griffball Hub guys got to it too, because those guys, they're very passionate for Griffball. But that's
what I'm excited about is that we're talking as much about Griffball as what we are.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad to see that back. I mean, I'm seeing right here, we were just going to do a little bit of quick segment and move on to some other stuff. And we could basically do a show off of this right now. I can already feel it, Ty. So let's.
But we do have to push on a bit here, unfortunately.
We do. But, I mean, I can definitely tell though that all of us in this group are excited about it. And someone that's just a shooter. I mean, I'm really big into my BR, my sniping, but I mean,
at times you want to hammer down some people, you know.
Yeah. There's lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And do we know if that update's coming out tomorrow? Is that the idea?
I mean, that's what we're predicting. I mean, tonight, February 23rd, they're having the stream, so we'll find out then. It has to be either this week or...
Well, because usually what they do is Monday's the last day of the month, and that's a weird day for them to release an update.
So it's usually on a Wednesday. That's always been like that.
Last update was on a Tuesday. The other two were on Wednesdays, and the thing is, because they did the stream's actually going to happen in a couple hours. Actually, today. Usually they have them over the weekend. So my thought is maybe they just kind of fell behind on what they were trying to do. So they're pushing the stream today so that the update will come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to end up happening. Or maybe it'll come out Thursday.
The stream today. Ooh, wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be
nice, but I don't think it'll happen.
We'll see.
But let's go on to other news that came out yesterday. It actually leaked through an Australian link. Then they actually took it down. Was that if you pre-order Doom on Xbox One, you'll be able to get 1 and 2 via backwards compatibility. But it doesn't say anything about Doom 3, so this is obviously not confirmed yet. We don't know if other consoles will get this kind of treatment as well. We don't know about that either. But what do you guys think about that?
Let's say that again one more time, good and slow, because for old guys like me, I've got to let it seep in. So you're telling me that on the Xbox One, if I pre-order Doom,
yes,
that they're going to throw in 1 and 2?
Yeah,
I mean that's awesome. I'm on board already. Let's go. I was already
this game was before my time, so
this is not something that is new by any means. You bought Rainbow Six, you get Rainbow Vegas 1 and 2.
Yeah, and that seems to be the theme now with backwards.
They're doing. You get Dark Souls 3, you get Dark Souls 1. So this is not a new thing, and I think it's great that they're doing this. It is unusual that they're not showing Doom 3.
Yeah.
Give you Doom 3. Maybe Doom 3 is considered too new. Because Doom is an older game. I mean, Doom is one of the first console-esque games ever. So, and one of the first shooter games ever. So, who knows? And it's weird that we only saw it for Xbox as well. There was no mention of, PlayStation Play or whatever they call it, or, getting it on Steam or Origin or whatever, wherever it ends up coming out. So, I don't know. I could definitely see it happening. The reality is we just don't know yet. We don't know enough information.
Yeah.
The backwards compatibility, though, is it's amazing. And I know they've done it on many other games, but to have a classic like the original Doom move over onto the Xbox One, I mean, I don't know a lot about game design and stuff, but I know that there's different game engines. And that's the only thing I can think is that the engine that might be on Doom 3 might have had a difficulty moving over onto the Xbox One, or maybe they're still going to plan on doing it down the road, but just not right now. But still, just the idea of those first two titles coming over, it makes me giddy, because this is stuff that at my core, whenever I was growing up as a kid, guys, I mean, talking like first started playing games.
Before
this
my
is
time.
I used to sneak into my mom and dad's office area and get the computer, and I would always try to make some other noises, that way they couldn't hear the computer fire up at like 1 a.m. And I'd sneak me some games of Doom in, because I didn't want my dad to catch me playing it. So, because of course it was not a good thing. He didn't mind that much, but if my mom knew, then she gets onto him, and it caused something. So,
well, they did announce that they're going to stop doing backwards compatibility like launches, where they stop doing at these 16 new games we added. Then 2 months later they're just going to start adding them as they're ready. So it is very possible that, because Doom isn't on there now, but it's very possible that it could just be the next level out. We do have like 3 months before Doom comes out, so there's a lot of time for them to kind of announce this.
And like Quantum Break is coming with a backwards compatibility version of an Alan Wake too. So
right, it's coming with Alan Wake and what's the other Alan Wake Nightmare or whatever the game was.
Yes.
You get it for Windows 10 too. So I actually am excited for that. I liked Alan Wake, but we'll have to wait and see. I would not be surprised if this is actually happening, though.
Excitement. Well, next up, Ty had noticed there's some news on the virtual reality headset lines.
Yeah.
The HTC Vive was recently announced with a price point, and Ty, you want to go ahead and delve into that for us?
So the HTC Vive is going to be $799. While the Oculus Rift is going to be $600. Correct me if I'm wrong. And
I think it was $600, yeah.
So now this questions me about PlayStation VR. Is Sony doing the right thing by waiting out, seeing what everyone prices their stuff as, and they'll see what they want to go as? Because I can't see Sony going like $400 for the virtual headset. I just can't see that.
I think we can all agree.
We know Sony does go cheaper with stuff like they did with the launch of the PlayStation 4.
Well, here's what I think is going to end up happening, and I'm only doing this based on Sony's track record. The stuff they make is always subpar in terms of peripherals. They made PlayStation Play or whatever it was. PlayStation. What was the motion thing that they made?
Oh, PlayStation Move.
Move, yeah, which was literally a carbon copy of what the Wii was doing, except it wasn't as good.
Totally,
but it wasn't as good
at the end of it. But that never got anywhere.
But the idea was the light, you got a camera that was supposed to track the light, and that was how it worked. But it didn't work, like at all, but barely. So my thought is PlayStation VR is going to fall under the table. Is probably what's going to end up happening. Because not enough people are going to purchase VR for console games, I don't think. Because not as many consoles are going to release VR. Mm-hmm. It's much cheaper for these independent developers who are going to create it to release it on Steam where people can use the Oculus or HTC Vive.
Yeah.
I also think the Vive is more expensive because doesn't it come with the motion peripherals?
It comes with it.
Whereas in Oculus, those are optional.
Yeah.
So I think they bumped it an extra $100 or $200 because you're getting all those peripherals with the device versus Oculus where they're optional. So you get it both ways. I mean, you could pay the extra money and get them. I mean, the peripherals are probably going to be $200 or $300 anyway for the Oculus. So I think it's going to be about the same. Sony's will probably run $400 or $500, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be used as much. So I think we're really going to see the Vive and the Oculus and whatever other companies come up with rivaling VRs really be the VR market, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and like Microsoft said recently, they're taking their time with the HoloLens because they don't want it to be like another Kinect thing. They don't want to rush through it. They want to make it perfect. So we'll most likely see HoloLens in 2017, my prediction.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, HoloLens was nice when I used it, but there's obviously more work to be done with it since it's only like the first build that other people can use, more people can use. So
yeah, and I don't think HoloLens is really going to be like it is a VR, but it's actually augmented reality.
Yeah,
because it works visual effects into your world instead of replacing your world with digital. Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's gonna rival the VR market, but it shouldn't rival the VR market.
It's gonna be like
because it's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing,
but it's gonna end up doing that. That's just how markets work.
Yeah.
So it's gonna end up going up against the Oculus, and you're gonna hear people be like, "Well, Oculus is better," and it's like, but they're not the same thing at all. The Oculus is to play games. I mean, yeah, you can play Minecraft on HoloLens, but that's not the same thing. You know, the HoloLens is for like walking around your world and Skyping with your friend on your wall, or whatever, you know, and 100 other actual practical uses.
Yeah.
But whereas the Oculus is to become the player of the game, you know. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. These things are still a ways off.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're still in dev kit form.
Yeah.
We're not going to see them until at least 2017, maybe even 2018. And these are still prototype models. I mean, you're looking at what they think is the best, and then in 3 years, someone's going to come up with something way better.
It's crazy how it's
going. I mean, but it's cool that we're finally seeing the VR market become a reality. You know, it's always been kind of a sort of thing. But, I mean, we're even seeing it simple in, like, you know, Google Cardboard. You know? Like, being able to watch 3D YouTube videos and put it in your little $20 Google Cardboard set and walk around your room and watch people do 3D videos. You know? And I'm sure that there'll be mobile games that use Google Cardboard as a thing. And it's just interesting to see where this goes in the future.
Yeah, virtual reality in general is just it's taken off so much over the last few years, and I mean, I know I've tried to introduce it a little bit on one of our previous shows, but without going too far into it, because I know we're running way over for today's show, but hopefully you guys can enjoy the goodness that is here on the RCG. So, but I've gotten really into drone racing the last few months.
Oh my god, that looks awesome.
And the way these virtual reality headsets are for gaming and stuff anyways, to see what these guys are doing with these headsets, and granted they're not virtual reality that they're using, but they're actually able to call it from the first person view while they're flying these drones.
It's got to be terrifying if you crash in first person with those things.
a little bit.
You
but
just
I mean,
crash into a tree and then there's just fire and it's over.
Nah, there's no fire or anything. It's all battery operated, but without droning into it too much. But I love Pong. I love Pong.
Kill yourself.
But without droning on too much here, just to think about the abilities, and I really do see in the future where someone that's a drone pilot can get on, and then you're talking about them streaming that live on, say a network like Twitch. Maybe YouTube Gaming, and then you as a viewer can get these virtual reality headsets, and you're in on the flight too. So, I mean, I just really see there's a way that this technology is going to be used in the future, and that's so important. Anytime they introduce something that's new and different, you know, that for my time period it's the power pad, you know, or the power glove, or people tried it out. They're like, yeah, not really, no,
Because it didn't work.
You know, I mean, I'll get down on my hands and do the power pad, you know, with my hands or whatever. So, but for something like this, I can actually see it being used. And I even saw a picture that was floating the internet. I shared it with you guys earlier here in the cast, where it had Mark Zuckerberg walking in a group of people, and like the whole room is full of, like, I would say probably close to 500, 600 people, and they all have, you know, their tablets out, their laptops, and their virtual reality headsets. And every one of them has on a VR headset, and it's kind of scary, honestly. It was like, meet the Borg, you know? So, I don't know.
You will be assimilated.
Yeah, we're all going to get assimilated. So, but like Temporal was saying, we'll just kind of see where it goes from here on out in the future. So,
yeah,
so much stuff to do.
Well, there was that experiment where the guy lived 48 hours in VR, and they're showing there shouldn't be any lasting psychological issues. So, I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is that as this becomes more of a thing, that everyone's just going to live in VR. Which,
scary.
I mean, it'd be cool for certain things, like Adam Kovic from Funhouse keeps saying, you know, sit in it, and because, like, Gears of War, for example, you bought Ultimate Edition the country, but I think he said that. I don't remember. Anyway, but, you know, I'm worried that people are just going to be living in it, but I don't know. That's years off. We're all going to be assimilated.
It reminds me of one of my favorite movies, The Matrix, and how the spin throughout the whole thing is that we were actually being born and bred just to produce energy for these, you know, alien life forms.
I think we've all seen The Matrix,
and that was the twist of it, right? And I just think it's funny that we're really all putting ourselves into that own cocoon.
We're all going to be assimilated.
Yeah.
So that's the thing to take away. We're all going to be assimilated, guys. Enjoy it while it lasts.
All right, Tyboy, where can we find you on the interwebs?
Find me on Twitter at TyboyN17 and Instagram Tyboy17. So there you go. And Xbox Live Tyboy17. So
Temporal, if we wanted to hang out and talk with you or play with you, where can we find you?
I don't know why I'd want to do that, but Temporal Enigma on Xbox Live, capital T, capital E, space in between the words, and at the One Real Enigma on Twitter.
Very nice, very nice. All right, it's Twizted Shots TV. We're signing off. Of course, you can reach me at Twizted Shots TV at everywhere. I just branded it, and it's the same. It's that way I can just keep it that way. I don't have to worry about saying it a whole bunch of different ways. The main point is for RCG, though, guys. If you're not already following us on the website, I don't really know how you found us. If you're on YouTube or if you're over listening to the SoundCloud app, but we'd love to have you over on our new site. And Ty, did you want to mention anything briefly? Do we have some new stuff coming up on the site?
Oh yeah, we have a lot of new stuff coming. Actually, right after this cast, I'm going to work on it. So
some new
a lot of new stuff for the community and for the site. It's gonna look really nice. So
new revamped digs.
I don't know. Maybe
hopefully you guys have been enjoying.
So I don't know.
Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this more weekly podcast from us. I know we've been enjoying getting to do it, and just stay right here. Stay tuned to RCG for more awesome gaming info.